Today we have Tina Greenfield, a professor of Near Eastern archaeology with the University of Saskatchewan, and she is here today to talk to us about Mesopotamian royal cattle and her study into them. And so thank you so much for being with us today, Tina.
Thank you. Thanks, Thomas, for having me here. I'm really excited to talk about this new research that I've been conducting.
And so, Tina, kind of explain what exactly you guys discovered and what exactly you were finding out from these royal cattle teeth that you guys have discovered.
To put it in a bit of context, I work in the Near East, that is also known as the Middle East, and particularly right now I'm investigating cities, early cities in southern Iraq, modern day Iraq, also known as Mesopotamia. There's a very, very famous site there that was excavated in the 1920s named Ur. In that, they have this really incredible royal cemetery where the kings and queens have been buried, but also private elite individuals. And so in 2014, I was asked by the British Museum and the University of Pennsylvania to analyze the cattle from these royal graves. And so that started the journey of investigating the animal remains, because that's my specialty. I'm a zooarchaeologist, an archaeologist who studies animal remains. And I got information from the analysis, but wanted to take it further. And there are new ways, archaeological scientific advances, where we can look at teeth. We can look at animal teeth or human teeth and try and see what they ate and what they drank. And that gives us an idea of diet and how they were managed and how they moved across the landscape. And so I started doing these scientific techniques, stable isotope analyses, to try and see what the animal teeth were telling us.
What early discoveries have you made in terms of these royal cattle's diets and how they were raised? Kind of what's different from how these cattle were raised in early times compared to how they're raised a little bit more right now?
Well, it was really interesting because this is a time period where we also have early writing, cuneiform writing on clay tablets. And so we always thought that the animals that were provided to the kings and queens or royalty were different than the animals that the regular people ate. And we found out, actually, there isn't this concept of a royal herd. Really, it is almost the same as what the regular people were eating. So much more like today, right? Where you can get very expensive foods or you can get very cheap foods. And, this tells you a little bit about preferences to what you want to eat. And that was surprising because, as I said, in the text, they assumed that there was this royal herd that was only reserved for royalty and buried with royalty, when in fact that wasn't the case.
And so because of that distinction that you've made, that the royal cattle aren't really as royal as maybe you would originally have thought, is it possible that these cattle just happen to be owned by the royal people or maybe weren't as royal as previously thought at all?
It's difficult on some levels to answer that. But what we do know is that the cattle that were put into the royal graves, they were of prime age. They were killed and sacrificed in huge ceremonies for the funerals, and hundreds and thousands of attendants and cattle and other animals were put into the tombs of the kings and queens. It's something we call conspicuous consumption. It would be paramount to somebody being buried in a gold coffin today. So wealthy that they could afford to actually kill these very expensive animals and put the entire animal into the tomb as grave goods. Whereas when we looked at the non-elite or the non-royal people, they had portions of cattle. And so it wasn't the same level of elite grade goods.
Thank you so much for all the information, Tina, and we hope you have the best of time continuing the study.
Thank you so much.